Welcome to FemVids Ultimo International. This month we interviewed a whole bunch of organizations, including the World Federalist Movement in New York, their headquarters, GWI, Graduate Women International, who are headquartered in Switzerland, in Geneva.
Yeah.
And we're also at the UN headquarters in New York City.
Yeah! The executive director of GWI, based in Switzerland, was of course here because together with GWI, FOG, the Fiji Association of Women Graduates, we're co-hosting a seminar on bridging the gender gap in terms of education. So of course, both talking about graduates, but not just addressing for example, tertiary education, but there are numerous gaps in primary and secondary education when it comes to the retention of young women, but also in terms of the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. Those are kinds of commitments that you do have to make at secondary level, so how do we make sure that not only are young women able to follow through the education system towards their chosen career path, but also ensuring that the culture when they get to a workplace is conducive to gender equality, and so they don't completely abandon something that they might have spent 10 years working towards because it's not the friendliest place to be. Or the easiest, or they don't get equal pay, or they don't get equal opportunities. So it's not all about smiles.
So while we were in New York, we interviewed two staff members from the World Federalist Movement on two separate kind of programs for WFM. That audio should be online on our Facebook page as well as our Mixcloud account, so if you want to check those out, you can do that as well. But it was really interesting to learn about what is being done at the international level in terms of making processes when it comes to democratic governance, also the selection process of the head of the United Nations, as well as what is being done in conflict situations to make women more included in peacekeeping and peace building and conflict prevention mechanisms. So it's really interesting to speak to women like at the center of those projects.
So of course we weren't just in New York to rub shoulders with some of our international partners, but to rub shoulders with some people as they crowded themselves into the Security Council at the UN headquarters in New York. It was an historic event. It was huge. There was so many people, there weren't enough chairs in what would otherwise be a very empty room because the Security Council is incredibly boring otherwise. But one of the most historic things, and that we were there for, was of course the adoption of UN Security Council Resolution 2242, which brings climate change into the human security and peace agenda, and women, peace and human security agenda, which is huge because it's a part that is very familiar to the Pacific that often gets overlooked because nobody else is apparently experiencing climate change. How exciting. So Alicia was of course there to tell us all about it.
Hi, so I'm standing here at the UN headquarters in New York City. We've just come out of the Security Council open debate on the Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, and they have just adopted a new resolution on 2242, and it's called the Silent Draft, and it's to ensure that there is a high-level expert group to implement women, peace and security.
What stood out most to you over the past few days, over the past few 40-odd speeches?
I think maybe the thing that has stood out to me was the speech by Ala, I can't remember her surname, but she's on the NGO working group. And to me, her speech was what we were looking for in terms of concrete action to ensure that women, peace and security is implemented on the ground, whereas the majority of the statements were pretty much the same thing, where they didn't really have a lot of strategic action points on how, they kind of talked a lot about women, peace and security, and that we need to have, implementation, we need to have women in our peacekeeping forces, but no action of how this is going to be done. So it kind of got a bit repetitive to the end, so I'd say my highlight was listening to the young woman from the NGO working group. Yeah.
And following the open debate at the Security Council was the launching, basically, of the 50-year look report thing of UN Security Council Resolution 1325, so close to our hearts. We've been using it since 2000 as the core of Family Pacific's work and all that we do in terms of conflict prevention, conflict resolution, the importance of including women, women participating, women, you know, protected, but also just part of the whole process, because apparently it's not common sense anymore. Alicia was there as well, because I was behind the camera, also telling us a little bit more about the event after they fed us and after she turned down some cheesecake.
So, Alicia, please tell me maybe what's happened.
Well, I was just at the launch of the global study for the 1325 plus 15, I guess, kind of review. So we had the lead author, the independent lead author, Radhika Kumaraswamy, as well as the head of the UN Women, the Nobel Peace Laureate, and a representative from the UAE, and the Secretary General as well. He was here. And there was lots of, I guess, like pledging from government representatives in how they will be strengthening their approach to women, peace and security.
What stood out most for you for this event?
I think it was the fact, or the reaffirmation of what we do at Feminine Pacific. So it's about the localization of 1325. We really put that into practice because someone said that it is the key to the success of peace building. I mean, that's what we do. You know, we talk to the women, we gather the women, have them kind of understand what 1325 is, and then put it into the local context. And then we take that information and then we adapt it to make sure that the policymakers, you know, understand what it is they're talking about.
So that was Alicia, and this is Alicia. And in terms of a lot of the things that we've talked about, of course, there are the programs available on Mixcloud that you can go and check out, from the GWI interview to the WFM interview to the UNSCR stuff, all that kind of thing. So don't forget that that's always available to check, as well as a whole bunch of other programs that are very exciting. Who makes the news, anything that comes through from our super producers or any of our correspondents and conveners from the rural areas. So we'd love if you give them a listen and let us know what you think.
Yep. I'm very sad that I missed out on that cheesecake. But if you missed out on that national and regional episode, check that out on our Facebook page as well. But that's it for FemVids Ultimo. I am Alicia Evans, Program Associate Research.
And I'm Shan Rolls, Program Associate Media Advocacy. See you next time.
Bye!